The NBA playoffs are here, and now you can trade every game on Kalshi. You can also trade on who wins each series, the conference finals, and the championship. San Antonio is currently trading at 22% to win it all, meaning a $100 trade pays out $455 if they take the title. On Kalshi, you're trading against other people in a live market. No house, no odds makers. And as the odds move, you can buy in or out anytime throughout the postseason. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use code HOOPS to get $10 when you trade $10. KLSHI. Kalshi. Trade on anything.
Are you noticing your car insurance rate creep up even without tickets or claims? You're not alone. That's why there's Jerry, your proactive insurance assistant. Jerry handles the legwork by comparing quotes side by side from over 50 top insurers so you can confidently hit buy. No spam calls, no hidden fees. Jerry even tracks rates and alerts you when it's best to shop. Drivers who save with Jerry could save over $1,300 a year. Don't settle for higher rates. Download the Jerry app or visit jerry.ai/libsyn today. That's jerry.ai/libsyn.
Hello, and welcome to American Dreamland. I'm Max Chavez.
I'm Misty Stone.
Well, more news has happened today, as always. That's a weird opening, but I'm keeping it in, because why not? As part of our last episode was on Kesha, because things happen, so instead of opening with the news, we're going to do Ren Fair review.
Yes, Max and I discovered last week at Trivia, when we did Trivia, that we were both going to different Ren Fairs this past weekend. Mm-hmm. So I went all the way to Hollister, California for the NorCal Ren Fair.
Yeah, I went to Folsom, California, which is also in Northern California, so I feel like there could have been more coordination.
We were, my friends that I went with, we were debating if Hollister is it really in Northern California? Because it's south of San Francisco. And we were like, is it the start of the Central Valley?
I mean, the thing is like, it's the Central Valley. We don't just have, like, a middle part of the state. It's in and middle, so, like... And also, like, isn't Bakersfield in the Central Valley? And, like, Bakersfield and Modesto are, like, they want to separate themselves. Like, they are not saying they're the same thing. So, I feel it is in the northern half of the state. But we also live in, like, the northern part of the state where, like, people are really picky. Like, no, we live in NorCal.
Yeah, people are picky. I learned that the hard way because I was like, oh yeah, San Francisco, as an Ohioan, I was like, San Francisco is Northern California. And they're like, no.
I can do one better. As a native of California from Los Angeles, I thought I moved to Northern California when I moved to San Francisco.
You didn't, apparently.
It's the Bay.
The Bay.
Which is whatever.
We do love the Bay. But we stayed at, like, I don't know if there's much to do in Hollister besides, so I can't rate the whole town because we stayed in the Casa de Fruta cabins and everything is Casa themed. I don't know if you've ever been there, Max. There was the Casa de restaurant, the Casa de cabins where we stayed, the Casa de Deli, the Casa de Diesel, the Casa de Burrito.
Okay, this is just...
This is
a lot of, like...
Empire.
This is a lot of just, accumulation of wealth by this one family in a town on the five, which is, alright. I mean, it's representative, and at least it's on brand instead of just, like, one of those, like, jet ski owners who, like, through his meth dealings, like... also owns the franchise like McDonald's or whatever. It is like, at least it's a family business and not just a explicitly elaborate money laundering operation or criminal enterprise.
Yeah, it was like this whole strip of the Casa de Empire, as I like to call it, and we were in walking distance to the fair. So it was a nice place to stay. The cabins were new. They just added the cabins, so they still had that nice woody smell.
That is the thing, is you said, like, you mentioned the place. I was like, I know where that is, because, like, I drive the 5 all the time when I'm going home to visit. So, like, yeah, I know that. And it's like, I did not know it was... I never actually stopped there, just because I've never lived in a place where it's, like, made sense to stop there. Like, in terms of, like, gas or whatever. But yeah, I did not know they're now adding all of these things of late.
Yeah, I guess it just started off as the fruit stand.
Mm-hmm.
So Casa de Fruta is the fruit stand. And then so we were exploring when we got down there, like the fruit area, the whole empire, as I like to call it. And they have a bunch of ducks and peacocks. And then this couple came out with a bag of cat food and was like, "Here, feed the ducks and the peacocks." And then had us feed them with the cat food with them. And then they told us all the lore of the ducks. They're like, this one's missing his beak. Oh, this little one right here is the only duckling that survived out of 80 ducklings this year. All the others died. And I was like, oh. And then they're like, the peacocks are mean to the ducks. I like to feed the one with his beak missing because I'm sure it's harder for him. So I learned a lot about the ducks. Food. So I try not to, I'm only saying this because our friends that went are not vegan, but the food wasn't great. It was very bland.
Yeah.
Felt very white people food.
What? In Hollister?
My partner and I could only, at the Casa de restaurant, could only get an Impossible Burger. It was fine. And I was like, it's whatever. But all my other friends were like, oh yeah, the food it was fine, but it wasn't anything to write home about.
Yeah.
And then after the fair, my partner went to the Casa de Deli, and I went to Casa de Burrito. Burrito, bland. I don't know how you can have a bland burrito in California, but it was pretty bad. I also had a burrito at the Ren Fair because there were many vegan options, and that burrito was even blander, and the rice was very mushy, and I thought it was beans at first, but then I realized it was the rice. But I was really crossfaded, so I ate it anyway.
I was also crossfaded at my Ren Fair because I'm a responsible adult.
Yeah, so we had fun. I would say it was big. We went to the Folsom one last year, I believe, and that one's a little smaller. I think the NorCal is the biggest in this Northern California area, and it was fun. We stayed in the 21 plus area. Our drinks, those were expensive. I ordered 2 ciders for my partner and I, and then the guy said that'll be $34.
Jesus Christ.
And I was like,
so much.
I did get tipsy only drinking half of it, though, so...
Yeah, that is the thing, is healthy living means you get fucked up a lot easier.
Yeah.
I took a gummy and had 2 beers, and I was riding high, which was unexpected from, if some of my college stories. I wouldn't say like I was sober after a lot of consumption, but I felt it required a lot more. We got to watch some raunchy shows with some ladies. That was fun. I think what I miss, I grew up going in the Midwest to the Michigan Ren Fair, and I have a special place in my heart for the Michigan Ren Fair, and there's a lot more permanent structures, and I feel like what I'm missing in all the California Ren Fairs I've been to, because I've been to the one in Redding, Folsom, and now this one. I miss the pickle guys who sexually harass you while you eat a pickle. I miss the stockades where you can pay to arrest your friends, and then they have to dance in front of everyone to get free. I miss the workers who try to flirt with you in old-timey voices. I'm really missing that here. I feel like what I'm hearing is you miss being objectified as a woman and also bullying your friends.
Yes. It's fun. It's all part of the Ren Fair fun.
I know you're ostensibly the victim from the outside view of that, but, it sounds so weird. It's like, no, it's the Ren Fair. It's different.
It's the Ren Fair. The pickle guy. I've never encountered a pickle guy here who makes suggestive jokes while you eat your pickle.
Yeah, because, there's children around, or I don't know.
Boring.
Trust me, I don't think it's that different than Ohio, but trust me, we do enough sexual harassment in California. We don't need to just have a space for it. It's covered, believe me.
Just also the joust. I've not been to a good joust.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun. My joust was fine. My general review of Ren Fairs in general is, if you ever want to be surrounded by a bunch of gender non-conforming bisexuals without being in a queer space, you're never going to beat a California Ren Fair, just straight up. Yeah,
I did when we were walking around, some dude, I wasn't even dressed. I didn't dress, I didn't have a corset or anything. I had my little dress, my little elf ears, and some antlers, because it was cottagecore for the one we were going to, and this guy, rubbed my back, and then I'm like crossfaded as shit at this point. And then he was like, I'm so sorry, and then just stared at him for like a full minute, and then I was like, oh, that's okay, and then just wandered off.
I feel like you can't just say you're sorry. There has to be like an excuse of, oh, I thought you were my wife or something, or I thought you were someone else. It's like, why would you it's also, why are you complaining? You got exactly what you wanted.
No, it's the workers
who
do it in Renaissance voice. It's not people it's just not lay people, it's the workers who are in character.
I see.
So it's different. Or like, some run fairs, you get like a tavern wench with big boobs and she helps you chug a beer. That's fun. I couldn't do that at this fair. Or in Folsom or in Reading.
Well, I mean, if you go to a different Folsom, I think you could have some mommy with big breasts do a lot of things to you.
True. But the weird thing about that guy, because the long stare, at first I was like...
The one weird thing about that guy?
Well, I was just the whole weird thing about the situation is my partner was in the bathroom at this time, but our other two friends were like at a stall buying something, and so I was standing with my friend's boyfriend, who is a rather tall dude, so I wasn't like alone. Mm-hmm. There was a guy with me, but that didn't stop anything.
Do you think maybe he was trying to do the Ren Fair version of, in a Ren Fair, it's not a couple, it's a guy, and it's like, hey, I saw your vibes from across the room.
Maybe, because, like, honestly, I was like, oh, you're apologizing because, yeah, you, like, messed up or whatever. It was just the long, intense stare that really, I was like, oh, you did this on purpose.
So, basically, it's like, oh, so this is what rodeo people do on the off-season. They do jousting.
Yes, yeah. Our jousting, unfortunately, I'll do a quick review of our joust. I would say it was only an hour. We caught the last joust, which is usually supposed to be the most exciting, but people started leaving halfway through and blocking our view. So how it was set up, we couldn't see because so many people were leaving. Mm-hmm. And then there wasn't a lot of fanfare. They literally just did the rings, catching the rings on the joust, a couple joust hits and some fighting, and it was like all over in 5:35. We were supposed to be there an hour. So that was a little disappointing. So not only was the show not like exciting and fanfare-y, but so many people were leaving. I was like, I can't even see the subpar show. How was your experience at Folsom?
It was okay. I'm not the most Ren Fairy person because I don't like dressing up, and my partner does, so it's that. I mean, I already have a cool sword, but I got that at a different Ren Fair. It was fine. I just got crossfaded, enjoyed. It's just, there was a certain point where, like, I got a little too, like, I wasn't, like, going hard. I just misjudged how much I could handle. And I will say this it was definitely a degree of, like, social anxiety, but there was so much of just, like, man, these people are weird. And I hated saying it. Like, I didn't say anything. It was, like, entirely in my head, but it was just like, oh, you're certain type of people, which was like, okay, like it was just like it's very intense to see someone in like full noble regalia waiting for a funnel cake.
It's an experience.
It is,
for sure.
It's also awkward to just carry a sword around all day, like if you're not used to it. It's like, why am I having trouble sitting down? Oh right, I have a weapon on me.
But it's so much fun at the same time. Did you get a turkey leg?
No, it's just so much. It's mostly gristle, and I don't like overly cooked. I prefer dark meat over white meat, but I do not like it when it's overly cooked. I think, like, the big problem with dark meat on a turkey is people just don't know how to cook it right. They always overcook it. Because they're like, oh, it's gravy. It'll be fine. No, like, meat shouldn't need gravy. It's fine if it's there, but, like, it should be succulent enough on its own.
Yeah, and it's just like, oh, you eat a turkey leg for the meat. The meat, yeah, it's for the fun. I don't have any fond food memories, I think, over the years of Ren Fair. Like, I can't remember something I've had. Because one, it's like fair food, nothing. And I think the only time I remember the food is when I was 6, and we were at the Michigan Ren Fair, and I had this was burned into my brain. My grandmother was there eating ice cream, and this man in a leotard dressed as a cat, all in white, was crawling around on the ground and rubbing up against people. And he started doing that to my grandma, and my grandma offered a lick of ice cream off her spoon, and he ate it and then started purring and rubbing up on her, and it disturbed me so much as a child that it just burned into my brain.
It's disturbing me as a 35-year-old.
It was extremely I was
who's
like,
not
why?
Experiencing it, I'm just hearing a story.
Yeah, even as a 6-year-old, I was like, why are you feeding this weird man your ice cream? But those things happen at the Ren Fair.
Well, speaking of people who like to get into elaborate costumes, perform rituals, and definitely ignore social norms when they're in a location on a weekend, let's talk about football. Folks, hope you enjoy it. We're doing a lot of movie review episodes because they're just fun to watch, and we watched Tim, and boy, was that a weird-ass movie.
It was. I was so excited for it because I grew up in a sports family. I was never a sports person. I don't understand sports. You're not going to get me watching sports. The only rabbit hole I've ever passionately gone down in sports is the NFL and the CTE scandal, if you want to call it that. Mm-hmm. So I was like, oh, cool. Like a horror movie about football, it has to be covering CTEs. So I was like, cool. That's actually like a really cool concept.
And so, kind of spoiler alert for the movie Him, and what we're going to do this episode is just talk about weird stuff in football. We might mention Aaron Rodgers, but like this is not our Aaron Rodgers episode. It's just kind of like the general feeling of like football is one of the last vestiges of true monoculture like we have left. And it's, I don't know, about football it's so weird because it's like, I'll say this, I also come from a sports family. And I think I do have a different perspective on it, because even though my dad watches tennis recreationally. Like, that man just loves watching sports. But football was always weird because, one, he was kind of the commissioner of his, like, fantasy league kind of stuff, so there was the work aspect. And then also, my dad has never forgiven the Rams or the Raiders for leaving Los Angeles in my childhood. I'm also now doing the math in my head. My dad did an unintentionally very bold move. He became a Buffalo Bills fan in 1994, which O.J. Simpson fans will recognize both that year and that team. I don't know if anyone in my family has ever lived in New York. I don't know anyone in my family who's ever been north of New York City, really. So it's weird he became a Bills fan. So we did watch significantly less football than like basketball, and then also I was like 10 during the height of the Lakers kind of second dynasty or whatever. So I get that. Baseball is a thinking person's like sport. Like, oh, there's all of these numbers. There's this complex level of strategy or something. So, I can appreciate that. Basketball, very energetic, kind of interesting. Oh, it's very high octane. It's very easy to get into the moment. I will say, it's been a while, but I do enjoy going to a basketball game. Like, it's kind of like going, I equate going to a basketball game right now is like going to a concert of like band I don't hate but I'm not into, where it's, what, if I'm with the right people and everyone's on their, and the performers are on their A game, it's a fun couple of drink night.
Right.
Football is just, the stands are just so crowded. You're outside. Basketball's a nice indoor stadium. You only play baseball in the good times of the year. Like, there's no winter baseball. It's probably gonna have a nice day out at the baseball stadium. Football is just like the worst weather. There's a lot of awkward pauses, and it's not even like the skill and challenge. I feel like brutality is something different to enjoy, because like fights can be brutal and they're a lot of fun. Oh, that is the one thing I would say about what was awesome about our Red Fair. We saw night fights, and that was cool because they went straight up medieval melee. They were just punching each other in full plate armor.
I love that.
So that was rad. But like, that's brutality, and that's like, yes, people engaging in it. Football's just violent. It's not oh man, that was an intense sport. It's just like, you just beat that guy up. What the fuck?
Yeah, growing up in the Cleveland area, of course, my family's a Cleveland Browns team. I had to learn the history of, and now I don't remember it, of how, our team left for the Baltimore Ravens. right? The team moved to the Baltimore Ravens. That was big, and Clevelanders destroyed the stadium, as we do, because that's just how we are.
Is it because, the old kind of like meme thing on the left is like, oh, why don't they do anything when they riot for sports team or stuff? Is it just because isn't Cleveland the city with the longest drought with multiple sports franchises of any kind of championship?
Yes. It was insane when the Cavs won.
Yeah. So, like, it's just like, we're never going to win. We might as well just burn down our stadium.
Yeah. Clevelanders are very dedicated to the Browns. Like, my dad's never wavered on his Browns fandom. And people have, like, Browns-themed cars. And, everyone's very dedicated. And I agree with you. The weather sucks. My parents would go to football games in the winter where it was so icy. People were being blown across the parking lot. They couldn't walk. And I was like, why is that fun? Why are you guys going?
I'm also not realizing, so the Browns left and then they became the Baltimore Ravens?
I don't,
because if that's the case, then that means someone then brought an entirely new football team to Cleveland or made a football team in Cleveland, and it's like, you're the Browns now. Because the Ravens are still a team.
Yeah, it was, 1996? I don't remember the history. I remember I had to watch a video with my family, or they showed me a video where I'm pretty sure they were still called the Browns back then. Yeah, it's been 25 years. I see on ESPN, it's been 25 years since the Browns broke Cleveland's heart and left for Baltimore.
Wow, that's a storied franchise history.
Yes. So, and I'm not good. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say, like, I don't know shit about sports. So don't ask me about explaining football or who the top players are right now. Nothing. Yeah. Especially now that I'm an adult. If I was a kid, I would probably knew some things going on because I grew up with it.
I will say that the one big thing is where Aaron Rodgers is very big where we're at because he is a local, so it helps that he's also was the top quarterback at the height of his popularity. So that's basically my extent, is like people saying Aaron Rodgers is not terrible, and then he started sucking and other things.
Really what we're going to talk about is CTEs.
Yeah.
Which are chronic traumatic encephalopathy.
Which is emblematic of our weird obsession with football. This is a centerpiece, and it's very American of, wow, we have this problem with a thing, and we're going to pretend it's not happening. Him is very critical of, the system of football and how we recruit people and all of that. I don't think it is apologetic for it. I will say that there were definitely, and I don't think this was necessarily intentional, there were definitely some choices that they made in the movie that definitely emphasized that it was less like, by the way, the NFL or whatever stand-in we're using for this is an inherently corrupt and evil organization, instead of this one team is involved with Satan directly. Yeah. And that's why they're doing evil, and it's a metaphor for how terrible football is, parentheses, we're not going to say it's the NFL because probably for litigious reasons, but I also feel like watching, I think as any kind of fan with depth and lore, there is a certain point where it's going to be a period you do not like. Every Star Trek fan has a series that they don't really like for whatever reason, at least one. There's definitely periods of Survivor or times when you're watching Survivor. It's, why am I still watching this show? Like, I don't like it kind of thing. And I say that as him is clearly made by someone who loves football and is very conflicted about it. And then they kind of are just like, I don't know, Satan's doing the evil stuff.
Yeah. So let's give a little bit of background, and then we'll give our final review of the movie. With CTE, it's a brain disease that is likely caused by repeated traumatic brain injuries, which cause the death of nerve cells in the brain. The only way to get a definitive diagnosis, though, is after death, where the brain is examined.
Thankfully. It's not like neurons are the only cells that cannot recreate or heal themselves in the human body.
Yeah. So CTE is commonly found in football players and people who play other contact sports such as boxing. In 2022, Boston University reported that they diagnosed 345 out of the 376 former NFL players with CTE. So that's 91% of the brains they've studied.
Jesus Christ.
Have had CTE. They have had other people, like regular people, donate their brains, so about 164 brains of men and women, and they've only found one person with CTE in that cohort, and that person they discovered was a college football player.
Wow.
So the one person they had a history of football.
So it's just CTE all the way down.
Yeah, like 91% is insane.
I feel like if you didn't, I don't know, I'll just randomly say, like, if you did college baseball, unless you had, like, a career-ending injury, you're not going to be in your early 30s and not go pro and go, I'm still suffering from when I played baseball in college, or even basketball. Like, something bad has to specifically happen for you to still have the scars if you don't go pro and continue that kind of lifestyle.
Yeah, that's like an insane high rate of disease. Often the symptoms that one would have it: depression, memory loss, violent mood swings, rage, and paranoia.
Mm-hmm.
And some famous incidents were 2 former NFL Men of the Year winners suffered from symptoms of CTE, and later they committed suicide by shooting themselves in the chest so that their brains could be studied. It's become so well known within football players that many of them have found ways to kill themselves without purposely avoiding injuring their brain so that it can be studied.
Which, shout out Brett Favre, that your evil deeds are voting Republican, sending dick pics, and then, I don't know what the exact thing is, but you stole a lot of taxpayer money from the state of Mississippi. I only mention that because it definitely requires a degree of planning and organization that it doesn't sound like a lot of these other guys have because of the CTE.
Right. Now we're going to talk about Mike Webster, who's the first person to be discovered with CTE. So this is where CTE was first discovered. He was known as Iron Mike. He was known as Iron Mike because he would play through injury.
Mm-hmm.
So then we're bringing in that whole toxic masculinity where men want to play through things and, don't always take the rest they should between injuries.
You just don't understand because you're not a guy. It's part of our drive to power through it. And also when you're part of the NFL, not only commit an insane amount of per capita crime, considering the people who have a record for violent crime in the NFL compared to the normal population, but also be exponentially higher than like every other sport in terms of criminals who are actively playing.
Right.
And again, I think like in baseball, half the people who have done crimes, it's been like money laundering.
True, yeah. I don't hear a lot of violent baseball, violent basketball players. Boxers, I think one of the reasons why boxing has fallen off, like it's still around, but it fell off hugely as a sport was due to all the injuries.
That's so optimistic of you. I think we know the real reason. Or I feel the real reason has to do with the popularity of UFC. Because I feel like UFC started to become big right around like the early 2000s. And I feel that it's like, I don't know, like there's still some bigger boxers, but I feel like I feel Pacquiao was like the last monoculture boxer here in America. Everyone knew him and like his fights were a big deal. Like, not to say other boxers since then don't have influence or aren't good or anything, but I feel like after Manny Pacquiao, it seemed like everything kind of just fully shifted to UFC.
True.
Also,
I like my optimism though.
It is true. But how else could I mention that and also mention like Manny Pacquiao also for a period of time was a horrendously anti-LGBTQ plus congressman in the Philippines. Like, just insanely religiously bigoted against gay people as a congressman.
We love that.
Oh, so cool.
So Webster, he was a very accomplished football player with 4 Super Bowl rings, and he was a Hall of Famer. He played a total of 220 games.
I feel like that's what... there's 16 games a year, or roughly, so close.
That's a lot of
That's
football
like at
games.
least 15 years of football, right?
Yeah, and I think he had the record for a long time until I think the 2010s was when the most his record was broken. So it's been relatively recently.
Okay.
And he passed away in 2002. So he was an old head football player. However, when he retired, his behavior became pretty odd. He would forget to eat and was very lethargic. He peed in his oven and scared his wife and kids.
I'm so sorry. I laughed knowing this is not going to be a happy ending, but that's just such a weird thing.
And he was located in Pittsburgh because he played for the Steelers.
Yeah.
So he started wandering off through Pittsburgh and would sleep under bridges in the Amtrak station in his truck. And at this time, he had friends. Like, it took a while. Like, his wife didn't kick him out. Like, initially, he was just wandering off, just sleeping wherever. He had his previous coaches, his friends would pay for hotel rooms for him to stay in, and he just wouldn't. He would just wander around sleeping wherever.
I also feel if there's like not an explicit drug or gambling problem, if you just are slightly intelligent with your money, 15 years in the NFL has you at least set, if not extravagantly, like you don't have to worry about a house or anything.
He was an alcoholic.
Oh, okay, well,
I don't know though.
Never mind.
Research wasn't clear if his alcoholism started while he was a player or after, when he was dealing with the aftermath of playing football.
Listen, if under any circumstances you have a drinking problem and your nickname is Iron Mike, I feel that you might have a slight degree of genetic predisposition.
True. Eventually, somehow, he obtained guns and would walk up to random strangers yelling, "Kill him, I'm gonna kill him." Also, he couldn't sleep, so he would zap himself with a taser to get to sleep. So our man, Iron Mike, wasn't doing well. Eventually,
oh my God. So cool.
He died from a heart attack at 50 in 2002. He was only 50. And then, so this is where Dr. Bennett Omalu, he's a forensic neuropathologist. He's the one who discovered CTEs. Since he was a neuropathologist, he was very into the brain and was kind of interested in football players. So he ended up being the one that examined Webster and 8 other players, showing that all of them had brain damage previously only seen in people with Alzheimer's and dementia, as well as some retired boxers. And at this time, his findings were ignored by the NFL until Chris Henry, a Bengals player, was diagnosed with CTE after his death at 26. And I believe this was in 2009. So the NFL did kick this can down the road for a good number of years before they were forced to confront it.
I am noticing, like, I'm not by any means like an expert in sports, but one of my very good friends, shout out, I'm not going to say your name because I don't know if you want it out, but shout out to Will, a previous guest of the show, and mine's mutual friend. He knows a lot about the history of sports, and I feel like that this is just the same kind of just like horrible crime and shenanigans that happened with the WWE, of just like, we're just scumbags who are just abusing people. Whereas I don't want to give too much credit to like the owners of like, you know, Major League Baseball or like the NBA, but like I feel like those stories are much more like, well, they're kind of shady, but this just seems like normal business type of stuff that would normally happen. It's just a basketball team instead of a dry cleaner chain or whatever. Whereas this is just straight up, we know something bad is happening, we're pushing it off as far as possible.
Yeah. And so now we'll talk about Aaron Hernandez. And I'm just going to, it's a brief overview of Aaron Hernandez. There's so many people that have done deep dives. A lot of the crime podcasts have done deep dives in Aaron Hernandez. So if you want to really dig deep into Aaron Hernandez's case, I recommend going to that. We would need a 2-parter episode to really dive into all the shenanigans of Aaron Hernandez.
He was a character. I remember it was very big news when I was, I want to say either high school or maybe college. I have a lot of friends who were into football, so it was a very big deal when the first murder charge happened. Spoiler alert for the life of Aaron Hernandez. But also, we're going to do a brief overview because when we finish our review of him, I also have a lot to say about my strongest connection and a really great film that's now technically we can argue about football. So I'll leave that little tantalizing clue.
So Aaron Hernandez, I would argue his case made CTEs well known, probably along with the lawsuits the NFL has faced due to the CTEs scandal. So he was born in 1989.
Oh, hey.
He was raised in Connecticut by his parents Dennis and Terry Hernandez. He did not have a great childhood. There was constant fighting that occurred in his house. His father was known to be very physically abusive to his wife and his sons. However, the Hernandez brothers, they both feared and revered their fathers and really struggled with his death in 2006. So he was pretty abusive. Aaron Hernandez would come to school with black eyes, clearly being beat. I think his father attacked one of his coaches one time. He was also sexually assaulted as a young child by a babysitter. Just did not have, and I won't get into it, but Aaron Hernandez also greatly struggled with his sexuality. And that's a whole other aspect of this that we don't need to deep dive into.
I don't know what you're talking about. I think that someone struggling with their sexuality in no way would be compounded by serious brain trauma.
Serious brain trauma plus just trauma in general.
Yeah.
Since the babysitter who abused Hernandez was male.
Oh, I wasn't even thinking. I'm still thinking about his abusive father. Jesus Christ. This guy
Yeah, so abusive
ringer.
father, abusive babysitter who started sexually abusing him at 6. And this lasted for a long time. So not only is it, we have the physical abuse, sexual abuse, and just brain trauma from physical abuse, I guess, of the NFL. So he didn't have much of a fighting chance. They grew up in Connecticut, I think I mentioned, and during high school, Hernandez was Connecticut's Gatorade Football Player of the Year and was later recruited to the University of Florida by Urban Meyer. Hernandez graduated a little more than a semester early from high school so he could play under Meyer, not because he was academically gifted. He wasn't doing well in high school. He was smoked a lot of weed and was drinking already. He'd get into trouble. Grades weren't great, but with a lot of kids who are talented in sports, schools tend to, especially football, have a very weird culture.
Oh, yeah. Wild. Like, this is what I mean by, like, the cult thing of just how wild people go. And again, I'm in no way surprised he went to, what was it, University of Florida? Mm-hmm. That I feel is, and obviously Berkeley, Stanford, like, elite institutions. I think Michigan State is a better team than, like, University of Michigan, but that's not saying Michigan State is a bad school. I feel like the University of Florida is just the place where they're not even pretending. I feel like another school got Hernandez, they would have been, gotta graduate high school. We have to at least do the hassle of faking your grades if we're going to do it. We're only using football to profit. We're still an institution of higher learning, whereas I feel the University of Florida is just, all right, weird football people, here's how we can circumnavigate them not hiring 18-year-olds anymore. The only other person I really know is Tim Tebow, who was just like a weird religious guy, and for some reason was like a shortstop for the Mets for like 2 seasons after his football career.
Yeah, and he knew Hernandez. They played football together in Florida.
I'm glad I can blame Tim Tebow for another horrific tragedy.
And Hernandez did have an offer for another school, but Meyer came in and like swooped him up and like somehow got him graduated early. So he started in Florida at like 17, and he did become a star for the Gators. But Meyer became frustrated with him due to his constant class absences, his marijuana use. Allegedly, he would fail drug tests, but was given special treatment. However, Meyer has denied these claims. After 3 seasons, Meyer told Hernandez to enter into the NFL draft because he would not be welcomed back due to his poor grades and marijuana use. He was then drafted in 2010 in the 4th round by the New England Patriots.
So wait. I just want to make sure that this is clear. Hi, I'm an incredibly well-paid coach who is responsible for these people's well-being. I'm supposed to understand people. Dude, you are constantly failing. You're addicted to marijuana. I'm tired of your bullshit. You're going to be expelled from school. So you know what? We better guarantee that you make $500,000 a year and suffer immense brain damage. What the fuck? Like, I know there's, like, all these, I don't know, I guess it's like when I read about, college basketball players are abused, it's like, people are profiting off of them, but they're not, like, putting them through a literal fucking meat grinder. It's just, they're taken advantage of, not destroyed.
Right. It took till the 4th round, because people were excited about Hernandez. Like, the NFL was excited. What made them hesitant and why it took so long, why it took the 4th round for him to get drafted was because of his behavior. Like, his behavior was known at this point. Like, he had behavioral issues throughout this whole time. And so when he did get into with the Patriots, so not only was he taken out early of high school, he never finished college.
Oh, and we here at American Dreamland do think you're actually cooler if you don't finish higher education, but still, it's the reason he didn't finish, not because he was too rad. It's because we're tired of your bullshit.
Right. And so Hernandez was not popular with his Patriot teammates. After one game, Brady was heard telling Tim Tebow that he was trying to steer Hernandez in the right direction, but he was difficult to handle. Tebow had been assigned to help guide Hernandez and had enlisted Brady for help. So while his teammates didn't overall like him, and Brady and Tebow, I guess, were just there to try to steer him correctly, he was just never that popular with the teammates because of his behavioral issues. But when he got arrested, he expressed admiration for his teammates. and many letters that he wrote from prison. Hernandez was a star for the Patriots as he teamed up with Rob Gronkowski to give a formidable tight end tandem as targets for quarterback Tom Brady. However, his career in the NFL would be short-lived, only lasting until the 2012 season. Hernandez had multiple run-ins with the law throughout his life, beginning only a few months after he arrived in Florida, so we're going back to the Gators. He would be jumpy in nightclubs and would take offense to any perceived slight and was convinced people purposely tried to start fights with him.
Cool.
Many described him as a follower who put himself in jeopardy by hanging out with the wrong crowds. Once he had been drafted by the Patriots, he hired 2 friends from Bristol to be his assistants, because remember, he's from Connecticut originally. Both of the people he hired had criminal records. Alexander S. Bradley, one of his assistants, was also his former drug dealer and his current drug dealer, and would have to calm Hernandez during fits of rage and paranoia.
I mean, I feel that's just efficiency. And helping a friend out.
Hernandez also kept a second apartment, which he kept hidden from his fiancée, that was filled with weapons and the drugs he had obtained, and would often go there to chain smoke marijuana.
I have a question for you, Misty, as someone else who's in a committed relationship. How would you feel if you found out your partner had a secret house? I guess, which would you rather? Your partner has a love shack where they're like having numerous affairs and dalliances, or I got a place where I smoke weed and have guns.
I'd probably the latter.
But you'd prefer that?
Yeah, honestly. I wouldn't like either, because
obviously.
I trust. Right, obviously, trust is a big thing for me. But I'd be confused and concerned, because I was like, why do you need to go to this random apartment to smoke weeds with your guns?
So they can smoke weed with their guns, obviously. Also, I do think it might be your partner, and specifically, if they had it, let's be honest, the weapons would probably be Final Fantasy swords and anime bullshit.
Yeah, which he already had,
Right, well, I'm saying, if it's a problem. I'm not saying having that stuff is a problem or judging them. I'm just saying, if they had this terrible place, that would add to it, which I feel makes it a little more, what is going on? Yeah,
it would be a little, I could come from that as concern, because that seems more paranoid to me than, cheating is just painful.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like the latter, I can be like, are you okay? This is weird behavior.
Yeah, that's fair.
Are you so paranoid? Why do you have a stockpile of weapons? In 2013, Hernandez was arrested for the shooting death of Odin Lloyd, who was a semi-pro football player and dating Hernandez's fiance's sister at the time. Lloyd was found in an industrial park with multiple gunshot wounds to his back and chest, and when Hernandez was arrested, the Patriots terminated him from the team. Hernandez had been angry at Lloyd at a nightclub 2 days prior to his death. A joint was found near Lloyd's body that contained both his and Hernandez's DNA. Hernandez was also charged with double homicide of Daniel De Abro and Safiro Furtado, who were killed when shots were fired into their vehicle, and witnesses stated it was Hernandez's silver SUV with someone yelling racial slurs towards the victims before shots were fired. However, Hernandez was acquitted just days after his death due to no physical evidence connecting him to those murders. The only testimony they had was from Alexander Bradley, so remember, his drug dealer / former assistant. Bradley and Hernandez's relationship had greatly soured at this point, with the men having exchanged multiple death threats to each other through text.
Yes.
God. And also, surveillance footage from that night contradicted Bradley's testimony of where Hernandez was.
This is the worst part. Why do we have a cult over this bullshit of, a game that we're both not sports people, but we can have fun at other games? I don't think I'd have fun at a football game. It's basically alright, this sport is just a CTE machine that's not that interesting and, kind of weirdly particular with strategy, compared to, baseball or basketball. And also, I'm just gonna say it, it makes it a lot less fun the few, good, eccentric, football players we have. It's just oh, you're just brain damaged. You're just a slightly more coherent version of Herschel Walker. Again, not a sports guy, so I'm sure there's better examples. But you got Wade Boggs in baseball, who's just I'm going to drink 100 beers and then play a game. You got Doc Rivers, who's Today's LSD day. I'm tripping on acid. Oh, fuck, I gotta pitch a game. Okay, I guess I'll pitch a game on acid. You got all those Kylie Irving, the Flat Earthers, and some other problematic views in the NBA. Like, the NFL is just, I just hate gay people. Like, well, that's not fun.
Yeah, and this is just, like, I'm just reviewing the very, very tip of the iceberg with his behavior.
Oh, yeah.
There's so many stories I read, and, like I said, we don't have... If you guys really want a deep dive into Aaron Hernandez, request it. Let us know. I'd be more than happy to cover it. But there was other stories, like him and Tebow were out at a bar, underage... Or, I think they were underage at the time, drinking. They didn't pay for their drinks, so the manager kicked them out, and... As the manager was walking away after kicking them out, Hernandez punched him so hard in the side of the head it ruptured his eardrum. And I'm pretty sure Meyer had to come in, and it seems like, allegedly, that manager might have been paid off.
What? No. College football is totally ethical. That's why they can recruit top talent like that used to be heads of NFL or Super Bowl winning teams. Just... It's totally logical and not corrupt that they would just then move to a college team and also make tens of millions of dollars more than they possibly could in the NFL as a head coach, but that's neither here nor there.
So, like, a quick overview, too, of her, like, obviously there's, like, a lot of excuses for behavior because they just want them out there playing, and, like, a lot of red flags that are popping up that, you know, no one seemed to be concerned about. Maybe a little bit. Maybe Tebow and Brady were a little... They're like, we're trying to wrangle them in, but it's not working.
I feel like because it's not really established that they have a friendship, I don't know. Like, I as much as I really like making fun of Tim Tebow and his incredibly horrific views, like, I will say I don't know enough about him personally to, like, make a judgment. Tom Brady's slightly different, like, and I don't actually know him, but, like, I do feel at least Tom Brady, I feel it was more like, I gotta protect the team image. Mm-hmm. Actually, you know, now that I think about it, Tebow might have actually genuinely cared if he was talking to Brady about it, because I don't think Tebow ever played for the Patriots. I think he was team in Denver, whatever. Like, I don't think Tim Tebow ever played on a professional team with Aaron Hernandez, so he might have just been reaching out.
I think Tebow was a little older than Hernandez and was, like, maybe a junior when playing with the Gators when Hernandez was coming in as technically a freshman.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just, like, the really tip of the iceberg. But yeah, like, this man was behavioral issues out the ass. Violence, paranoia, all these things. So on April 19th, 2017 at 27, Hernandez was found by a correctional officer hanging by bedsheets from the window in his jail cell. Shampoo covered the floor. A cardboard was wedged in the door to make it difficult for someone to enter. After his death, Boston University studied Hernandez's brain and confirmed he had stage 3 out of 4 of CTE. Researchers described his CTE as the most severe case they had seen in a person his age. After his death, many claimed that he seemed to have suffered from the symptoms of CTE, such gaps in memory and migraine.
What? That's wild.
Also, probably the rage and the paranoia. Because some of his, like, former coaches and stuff would say there was times where he seemed so, like, bright, and then there was other, like, he had no memory of certain things.
Yeah.
And so this man was walking around with holes in his brain.
And we just gave him an apartment full of guns.
Yes. And this really, because the case was pretty big back, you know, in the 2010s.
Mm-hmm.
And also, of course, the, like, true crime people love covering it. But going down that rabbit hole, I did become really interested, because it's like, how is the NFL allowed to just really crank out so many brain damaged men? And just the fact that these people are walking around with literal holes in their brain. Like, how are they even functioning? First off, like, how are they even semi-functioning? And then how do you, like, people like Webster and Hernandez, how do you hold, like, criminal-wise, I obviously don't excuse murder and poor behavior and violence. But what do you do when people literally have such extensive brain damage?
I mean, like, one of the myths people have about, like, oh, if you get off on an insanity charge, like, first of all, it's incredibly rare. Second of all, is it's not like, oh, cool, I'm free. It's like, no, you become a ward of the state until they say you're okay. And, like, that basically just means you're just in an armed care home for the rest of your life. Like, it's still a type of prison. Like, it's just maybe not, like, you know, as brutal.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it is just a giant CTE machine. Like, I kind of mentioned it earlier, but, like, Herschel Walker is just...
When he was in politics, is he still in
He's
the
ostensibly still in politics. He's not running for anything. But I just remember as, like, someone asked him, like, hey, like, you've been accused of beating your wife and cheating on her a lot and having a child out of wedlock. How do you respond? And he's like, he just took out, and he's like, a badge, and he's like, I have the enforcement of, or I have the support of law enforcement. And he's just holding this badge, and it's just like, wait, are you a volunteer sheriff, or, like, what is going on? And then I think it turned out to be a fake badge. Like, he has actual badges of, like, oh, thanks for helping our community, and he's just like, I don't know, here's a random badge. It's like, does he think he's a cop?
When he was running for office, because this was after I went down my CTE rabbit hole of the NFL, and I was like, oh, that man has CTE.
Clearly,
he is not okay. I was like, this is the NFL's fault.
Like, I will say this is, I feel like you have to be pretty committed to the bit if you are like an openly gay or queer person, and like not only like openly gay or queer, but like have all of the like stereotypical like affects of all of that. When you do the right-wing grift, you're going all in, and you know you're doing that. And, like, Herschel Walker's son was one of the people doing that, of like, oh, I'm a gay black guy, but I hate Joe Biden. And then, like, when Herschel Walker was like, I'm a good person, he's like, nope, I have to come out and torch my career because you're such a terrible father. Like,
yes, I remember that time on TikTok. Yes, he was making TikToks about it.
And I haven't heard from her, like, you know, I don't think it helped. I don't think he was like single-handedly responsible for him losing that Senate election. It obviously didn't help, and I don't know if it's a sign of me not looking for horrible things, but like I have not heard from Christian Walker since he just like rightfully just unloaded on his father.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything or seen TikToks like I did when he was dragging his dad, which, to be fair, it's just I think what really struck out again, it's just the morality of it. Like, when you have, I just would keep thinking, like, yeah, when you have the holes in your brain, like, how much responsibility do you really have over your own behavior?
Well, that leads me into what I was going to talk about, which is what I don't know. Let's quickly get to our review of him. We didn't like. I don't know. It was whatever. I didn't mind it, but it was not a good movie.
No, I think I was excited for it. I was like, oh, this is like I still stand by, I think the first half is solid.
Yes.
I think there's some solid actors, there's some solid build-up.
There's no bad acting in it.
No.
And it's very competently and interestingly made. I guess it's the script is the weak part, because, like, I still powered through, and I thought there were some, like, you know, cool shots and everything.
I would say it falls. Did you see Longlegs?
Yes. I also did not like Longlegs.
I feel like it fell for, like, the Longlegs thing, where there was a part where it was really good until a certain point, and then they explain everything in the end, and you're like, why did you do that?
Yeah. I'm not necessarily, I'm not the biggest fan of, like, we have to go super detailed in our explanation, but also it's not an elaborate, like, you know, Sherlock Holmes or, like, Agatha Christie novel, like, where it's like, okay, that maybe not be realistic, but it's an interesting puzzle. It's just like, oh, and it was the devil. It's like, really? You're not even going to make up a demon? It's just the devil? is this, and like I said, it's like it is the fact that it is like I was so like the line it seems is like with the team and everything, so it's like does every NFL team do this? Is this just this one team? Like,
Yeah.
I think I feel I would have liked the movie a lot better. We talked about it, and I don't want to be this guy who's just like, this is how you make a better movie. But if like he had these like images, like because he gets attacked like early in the film, and it's like part of why he's in this location is he has to do special training to get signed with the team because he can't do the normal. I think it's called the combine or whatever. And it's like, oh, he's already has brain damage. And, like, you could have easily done, like, I'm in this really weird world and everyone's kind of going along with it. Oh, because they also have brain damage. Like, and also just, like, it could have been just, like, oh, I'm just going insane and, like, it's a metaphor. Like...
Yeah, and I think that would have been a lot better and tackled still the horror of CTEs and football.
It also, like, it gives you a little bit of an out of, like, you know, there's no equivalent of the NFL they really talk about. It's always the team. And I feel like, well, okay, like, then you can kind of imply it's, like, other stuff. Because, like, you know, it's like, oh, it's because of this person's perspective, like, that they're only seeing the team. Like, yeah, like, a starter's not going to know what's going on at, like, with Roger Goodell's office or whatever.
Right, and I really did love some of the visuals too and how they showcase like the CTEs. I think there was a
as much as I like. Oh, sorry.
Oh, God, I was just gonna fit with. That's almost more frustrating because I was like, you had it.
Yeah,
it was there.
I mean, honestly, like I think even if you had made it like, you know, without our complaints, like, I think the best possible version of the movie, I still think I would have loved, like, I loved Weapons a lot.
Yeah.
That being said, as I love Weapons entirely as a movie, I think visually and in terms of just base cinematography, I do think that Him was a much better movie than Weapons. Like, Weapons had a better, like, the more important things, and I had a better time, but I do think, like, it was one of the most visually stunning movies I've seen in a while, especially among a horror movie.
And I felt like it did also tackle some of the, like, racism or the concerns with football and, like, taking especially young black men from, you know, you're offering these kids a lot of money, a lot of them from impoverished backgrounds, to destroy their bodies. So, yes, the NFL now has, like, and we can talk about the concussion settlement after we finish our review, but you can wear something on your helmet now to try to help prevent the CTEs, and there has been more protections in place, right? But it's a choice, right?
Yeah. And
then it goes back to, well, there's this toxic masculinity thing of, like, well, okay, so now people will argue, well, now players know, like, the dangers of CTEs. They could wear this thing, but a lot of players don't like to wear it because they think it looks goofy, and they'll make fun of each other for wearing it. And some have even said, like, I hate seeing another player wear that stupid added piece. And so, is it really a choice? And I think they covered this, they kind of covered this in the movie. Well, is it really a choice when you're telling people who come from poverty, like, you're going to make all this money? All you have to do is destroy your brain.
Right.
Like, they don't say that to you verbatim. They're like, you're going to make all this money. You're going to be a star. People are going to love you.
Yeah. You also might, for a lot of reasons, sleep under bridges and not be able to legally own firearms, but, you know, we'll deal with that later.
Might tase yourself to sleep at night and die by the time you're 50. Or, you know, in your 20s. A lot of them have died. Like, the amount of football players who have committed suicide or have died in their 20s is also pretty concerning.
Yeah. Which brings me to my much better movie recommendation to understand the damage of CTE that does not hide its connections with football, because it's not a movie that in any way addresses football, and that is David Lynch's Lost Highway. And I mention that because David Lynch said one of the few things he has talked about, like his direct inspiration, like the two kind of things we know as direct inspiration is, one, there's a line in the Bible that made Eraserhead work for him. No, he will not tell us what that line in the Bible is, and now never will. And two is he did say that he realized years later that his inspiration for writing Lost Highway was the O.J. Simpson trial. And the plot of Lost Highway is a jazz musician played by Bill Pullman kills his wife under strange and mysterious circumstances. And then, but he doesn't remember it, and he feels like someone else did it. And also, Robert Loggia plays a porn-addicted mobster, and there's a weird three-way scene with Twiggy Ramirez, Marilyn Manson, and Patricia Arquette. It's a weird movie. Not my favorite Lynch one, but in the movie's defense, like, Mulholland Drive is, like, my favorite movie of all time. So, like, there's already an incredibly high bar with David Lynch films in his filmography. But I mentioned that it was inspired by the O.J. Simpson trial because, weirdly, if you try and make Lost Highway a coherent plot, yes, I know, a dumb idea, but if you do, it matches up strangely well with a little novel called If I Did It, the book O.J. Simpson wrote, where he would describe, first of all, like, what if, like, man, that man knew marketing, because if you read the book, it is actually not if I did it. It is if he was at the scene. He actually, in his fictional book, after he has been acquitted and cannot legally be charged again with this crime in any capacity, does not even fictionally say he did it. However, what he does say is that he had a friend. And he had a friend who had anger issues. And sometimes he wouldn't remember hanging out with his friend. And his friend was very violent and paranoid and jealous. And one night, he and his friend went to go see his ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson. And then he has trouble remembering, but he felt paralyzed. And he watched his friend brutally murder Nicole Brown and Ron Goldman. And it's like, he said it was frightening, he felt paralyzed, he couldn't do it, but he also felt connected to the crime. Which is kind of how people having a violent episode with CTE describe what that violent episode is like. Of like, I feel like someone else is taking control and I'm just watching, but I have a weird awareness of what's going on. So he blames this person and then assists him in covering up the crime, and then whatever else happens, which again matches really well to the movie Lost Highway of like, someone else took over and violence happened. And then also, Lost Highway is like if a jazz musician had CTE, which is based off of someone who probably absolutely had CTE and then did an incredibly violent crime.
So, it really does. Him really does lose you in the last half, and it kind of becomes really goofy.
I think around the third or fourth time Marlon Wayans' character said, like, no, I'm not going to go, I'm going to review film. We watched it with Chris, and I just whispered to him, it's like, I have to return some videotapes. It was just, it got weird, and then, admittedly, I thought it was very funny, but I was very disappointed in how Julia Fox's character died. Where she just says, fine, I'll do the sacrifice, and then she just falls over and stabs herself in the neck. Like, very comical, but it does lead into a what the fuck moment. That being said, I also have to give props for just the utter joy I had, because in my head, I, like, at some point, once I figured out Tim Heidecker's character was evil, it's like, at some point he's gonna go, oh man, please let me go, I'll suck your dick if you let me go. And later in the movie, when a killing spree happens and Tim Heidecker's in danger, it's like, please let me go, I'll suck your dick. Which I was very happy I called it. And also, very funny to see him do that bit.
It was like his final words.
Please, man, I'll suck your dick. Devil kills him.
And it was quite a theater experience because my poor partner, there's this couple behind us, but my partner got the brunt of it, just where he was sitting, that just had to comment on everything. Like, it was just like commenting on the obvious, like, and he's walking over there.
Yeah.
That was weird.
I gotta say, your partner drew the short end of the stick, because when we all saw Weapons together, I think you and I bore the brunt of that couple talking behind us who were clearly on a date and didn't really understand what the movie was going to be about. And we're just like, oh my god, like, they had a lot of comments, but I will say that one of the funniest moments... First of all, I can only imagine what happened, because I will say that... I won't spoil this, but I may have taken an edible, and I may have not like I had foresight, but like 2 seconds before the ending happens, I knew what was going to happen, and I preemptively started laughing. Like, I laughed before the very funny thing happens. So I can only imagine what they thought, because it's a moment of sheer terror, and I just start laughing before it is obvious it's a joke. And then also, the second funniest thing that happened, other than the ending of Weapons, was the first thing I hear after the movie is over, is the guy turning to his date saying, "I'm so sorry, I didn't know it was going to be like that."
Yes. And to be fair with that, like, that couple, they weren't too talkative throughout. You could just clearly hear the woman's displeasure at certain points. Like, what is this? But this couple that mostly my partner could hear, they were constantly just like...
No, and it was a weird... Here's the thing. Like, it was the worst case scenario because it was not the type... It was not at a volume or not so incessant or not anything so bad that it's like, hey, we gotta make a comment. It was, like, totally innocuous and just, like, they were just kind of a little too into it, which you can't really complain about.
Right, and they were just kind of explaining everything that was going on screen. Like, before the main character gets hit in the head practicing football, he's, like, walking, the football spinning, and they're like, so he's walking, that's weird, the football spin, who's that behind him?
What? A horror movie? Like... okay, by the way, this is not a spoiler, like, we've already spoiled the big stuff, and this is not a spoiler because it happens within the first, 5 minutes of the movie, is I mentioned, he can't do the combine because he has brain damage. It's because he's just, practicing, some throws on, a field or whatever, and when he's going to pick up a football... Again, this is a horror movie where the marketing campaign is look how wild and crazy this is. When he's going up to pick a football, someone in just, full, if you've played the Witcher games, they just look like the Leshy monster. This just giant, furry, horned thing with, a giant axe just, whacks him, and they're like, what's going on? It's obviously it's the monster of the movie,
Right, and that's where, here's the thing, too, where I was like, he's slowly descending into, CTE madness, because nobody's ever, that was weird, you got randomly attacked. I don't think anyone ever mentions it to him that it was, a random attack. They treat it like he was injured. They treat him almost like he could be injured on the field. So I was like, this is, just some weird thing he's going through, and he's clearly just slowly, losing it because he's trying to power through, and that's how CTEs they think happen, right? Because you get a concussion, you're playing through it, so it's then the constant damage because your brain swims around in your head. There's fluid, and if you hit your head hard enough, your brain whacks around in there and gets damaged.
Wax rammed. It was also, I don't know, not that any of you will ever know, but honestly, I don't think you're gonna have to really push a line for me to complain about people talking in a movie, only because I will never forget when I was high as shit off of edibles and watching Francis Ford Coppola's Megalopolis in the top. We might have even been in the same theater we watched him in, but the absolute top row, and there was, oh god, I wish I remembered exactly what it was. I'm having trouble at the moment, but there were so many points I just fucking lost it. hysterically, like, in the club when he's doing that dumb press conference. Sean Voight's like, look at me, I got a boner. Like, that movie was so fucking hilarious and so fucking stupid. Like, now, to be fair, there were a couple moments where, like, the entire, like, theater was laughing, but I know there's at least one person, like, I ruined their experience.
Yeah, but that's Megapolis.
Yeah.
Can you ruin someone's experience of Megapolis? You know, I don't know. Anyway, I guess I'll leave it with, I think it's still worth checking out.
Yeah.
I would check it out. I was like, oh, it could have been so much better. Is my only disappointment. I know a lot of people loved it.
I think the biggest
Something
problem the movie has, and I think that's, like, why allegedly Jordan Peele, like, got very pissed off that, like, I don't know the specifics of it. I don't know who was responsible for getting Jordan Peele on as a producer of this film, but, like, the rumor mill in Hollywood is he was very upset that his management team wasn't able to get the rights to weapons. And I can see why, especially after seeing what Weapons was and seeing him, like, because I think a really big problem with him is that, and I don't mean this in, like, a thievery way or a negative way, I just can't think of another way to describe it, like, him is kind of a ripoff of, like, the Jordan Peele movies, especially Get Out, in the sense of, oh, it's a horror movie about a uniquely black experience. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's like, it's not like, oh, I'm aping it. Like, it's its own original idea. That I don't think, but the reason I say that is because it's like, I feel that, you know, it kind of fell into traps of, like, it had to make itself a slightly more horror movie, because, like, there's a couple scenes in Get Out, like, it's technically, like, a Nazi cult and that kind of stuff, but admittedly that's, like, super in the background, and it's more of just, like, it's kind of an explanation for some other stuff, like, you know, of, like, oh, that's why the old people were, like, now in these bodies type of thing, rather than, like, oh, insidious Nazism, whereas I feel this is, like, I don't know, we have to have an explicit horror element. Like, that's what I mean when it's, like, ripping off Get Out, is it's, like, it really had to veer into, like, genre filmmaking, and I feel like it would have been better if it had a little bit of courage to just be, no, this is actually, we're as much as I may complain about, like, oh, is the real monster the trauma we had along the way, of, like, I do really dislike those movies, but I feel like if there was a movie that had the style and the confidence to just, and, like, the message to just go, no, actually, the metaphor is the monster, and we're just gonna do that, and we're not gonna have to, like, rely upon a beast, like, I think it would have been a lot better, but... Yeah,
and I agree.
But if it was that, we wouldn't have gotten Tim Heidecker going, like, please, man, I'll suck your dick.
Yeah. Which I didn't recognize him as at first. I realized I don't think I've seen him since, like, Tim and Eric skits.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh my god.
I cannot believe how many times I'll rephrase that. I cannot believe how many times I mentioned Tim Heidecker on this podcast.
I guess I just never realized how different he looks now.
He's
like, oh.
That's the thing, is, like, if you're, like, he's lost, like, I don't think of him as looking different, because, yeah, from Tim and Eric, he's lost a lot of weight, but, like, he lost that weight, like, 5 years ago. So, like, I'm used to seeing him already losing that weight, whereas, like, if you haven't seen him in a while, it's like, oh, wow, he looks different.
But, let's end it on, so, do we think the NFL has faced any consequences due to the CTE machine they run? Well,
technically or actually?
Both. Yeah, technically?
Under no circumstances. Technically, yes. There's, like, okay, you lost the lawsuit, we'll do this. But under no circumstances are they, like, doing anything.
Yes. So there was a lawsuit where they faced widespread litigation from former players alleging the league was aware and concealed the risks of head trauma. A global settlement was reached in 2015, providing monetary awards and medical coverage for former players with brain-related conditions like dementia and CTE. The settlement included an initial $765 million, with the total potential cost to the NFL estimated to be $900 million or more over its 65-year span. And the benefits were that the settlement covers monetary awards, medical care, and rehabilitation for eligible former players. However, there are ongoing issues and challenges. There's been many denial of claims. So many former players have had their claims denied because their symptoms did not meet specific standards outlined in the settlement, despite obvious signs of dementia or CTE. And again, dementia and CTE are both things you cannot, they kind of skirt around this because you cannot get an official diagnosis until you're dead. Yeah. Until they open up your brain, you cannot officially get a diagnosis. So they can skirt around that a little bit.
I don't know what you're talking about. There's a ton of conditions where you just have to taser yourself to sleep and fall asleep under a bridge.
Fall asleep under
Actually,
a bridge.
I say that, and those are absolutely not like, if you have a family member with dementia, they probably don't say, like, they're going to taser themselves to sleep. Like, that's not a thing that happens. But, like, also kind of clearly, like, oh, you have symptoms of dementia and went through brain trauma? Yeah, you might do this thing. But you can't just put that in a medical journal of, like, I don't know, this sounds right. You actually have to do research and stuff.
Right. So, race norming. The settlement initially used race norming for certain cognitive tests, a practice where the scores of black players were adjusted to account for presumed lower baseline cognitive levels compared to white players. So this practice was criticized for unfairly disqualifying many black former players from compensation and was eventually ended by the NFL. So, and this was ended recently, like we're talking about 2021. Black players were getting denied because they were like, well, they already have lower cognitive functions compared to white people, so this seems normal.
Oh my god. Folks, there's so many reasons to be upset with America, but, like, this is a very particular one of, like, we are so cultishly and slavishly devoted to, like, the football machine. But you know what? What is just a purely American sport and just produces some grade A cranks? Fucking baseball, alright? Sorry to mention Survivor again, but a line that lives rent-free in my head is like, it's only $600,000 after Obama gets his cut, which is from San Francisco Giants player Jeff Kent after he was voted out of Survivor and he realized, why the fuck did I play Survivor? I'm already rich. You have that. You've got a lot of great, just fun former baseball players who just were weird politicians, and all of that. And it's usually weird white guys. And if you ever have to question that, all I have to say is the horrible conditions of baseball and the uncaring nature of baseball, the worst villain they've produced is Kenny Powers. And folks, I know we were conflicted about season 4, but Eastbound and Down was a banger.
Yeah, so, I'll end it on my hot take is, I don't think football should exist. I'm sorry to all the football fans, but it just, I don't know. It doesn't seem worth it to me.
Mm-hmm.
It seems pretty fucked up. We're just releasing a bunch of men with CTEs into the world.
And I'm just going to become an annoying baseball guy, both because my dad is a huge Dodgers fan, so we can, I don't know, like, bond over that. But also just, like, no, like, the worst thing that comes out of baseball is just insane, dumb white people. And even then, like, when they cross a line, like, the community just goes, you know what? Fuck this guy. Let's pretend he didn't exist. Like, I'm sorry, like, even when it's dumb bullshit like Pete Rose, like, when you do a bad thing, there are sometimes consequences. When baseball has an OJ, I will rethink my position. Until then, go Dodgers and Guardians, right?
Yes, the Guardians. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Also, I gotta admit, I think it is, like, that's the thing. I'm just ranting, like, football teams are just, like, this weird, like, I don't know, this is a fun name. Like, at least, like, there are attempts of, like, either something related to the sport, i.e. Dodgers, or, like, the Guardians, which are, like, this cool local thing to Cleveland.
Yeah, The Guardians are cool. I do appreciate. I did like when they changed the name.
Mm-hmm. And then, like, you know, when you do have animal teams, it's like it's an animal in the area. Like the Rays and the Marlins. Like, oh, they're the Florida teams because Florida has Rays and Marlins. Like,
yeah, that's a lot better than.
Where the fuck is a Ram in Los Angeles? Like, what the fuck? Or St. Louis? Like, seriously.
Yes, and it's better than our previous team name and our team mascot.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't great.
Still weird they did not get rid of Chief Woohoo. It's like, we're the Guardians
Wahoo.
now. Wahoo.
It's Chief Wahoo. That's something.
They could have just, like, put the mascot in whiteface and then just done the Mario voice. Wahoo! And then the city of Cleveland would have become that episode of The Sopranos where they're mad about Christopher Columbus.
Why do baseball teams? We have a lot of racist. I guess they're slowly. Are the Redskins still around?
They're the Commanders. That's a football team also.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
See, I don't know shit. Don't listen to me, guys.
The formerly Slur, now Commanders, are a football team. What are the other problematic baseball teams? There's, I guess, the Braves.
There was a good number because I remember the protests for the Indians and Chief Wahoo.
Well, yeah, but I think that might have been local to Cleveland. Like
that was local, but I remember it being in tandem with former Slur football.
Yeah.
Like I remember them all being mentioned.
I'm trying to think of, like, at least Major League, the only, like, quote, for lack of I don't know, like, indigenous names I can think of now that are still in use are the Braves and the Blackhawks, which I feel is a little
Isn't there the Chiefs?
Oh, yeah, the Chiefs might be. Yeah, maybe. But I feel, I don't know, like, I'm not an expert, but, like, I feel Braves and Blackhawk are a little different because it's, like, it's an actual thing from the area, maybe? I don't know. Like, I don't want to, like, I'm not opposed if they change their name. I just feel like it's different than, like, slur and mischaracterization. Like, that's a little, like, okay.
It was really bad. Chief Wahoo, if you don't know, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
And that's American Dreamland, folks. Don't play football.
No.
Don't let your kids play football, please.
Play baseball, and you'll get a very fun story, or you'll get to meet Danny McBride.
Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined.
Are you noticing your car insurance rate creep up even without tickets or claims? You're not alone. That's why there's Jerry, your proactive insurance assistant. Jerry handles the legwork by comparing quotes side by side from over 50 top insurers so you can confidently hit buy. No spam calls, no hidden fees. Jerry even tracks rates and alerts you when it's best to shop. Drivers who save with Jerry could save over $1,300 a year. Don't settle for higher rates. Download the Jerry app or visit jerry.ai/libsyn today. That's jerry.ai/libsyn.
We have the tech to get food delivered in 15 minutes, but we all have horror stories about buying tickets. The Game Time app gives fans the advantage. Get amazing tickets in just a few taps. Fees are included, so what you see is what you pay. And the Game Time guarantee means authentic tickets at the best price every time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets to concerts, sports, comedy, and more with Game Time. Download the Game Time app and create an account for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply.